My name is Megan Carter, and what I'm about to tell you is the story of how one single question, one that my dad asked me on the night of his 60th birthday, completely tore my family apart. It wasn't just about money. It was about betrayal, secrets, and the painful realization that sometimes the people you trust the most are the ones who can cut you the deepest. The night it all began started out beautifully. Imagine a warm evening in Sugar House, Salt Lake City. The house where I grew up was filled with the sound of laughter, clinking glasses, and the rich smell of Mom's famous roast beef. Guests mingled in every corner, raising toasts, reminiscing about old times. Dad stood near the dining room table, his face glowing with joy, shaking hands, hugging friends. I had flown in from Chicago that morning, carrying a neatly wrapped gift box with an engraved watch I'd saved for months to buy. Dad's 60th birthday was no small thing. It was supposed to be a night of celebration, love, and family. But instead, it became the night everything I thought I knew about my family collapsed. It happened in a single moment. The cake had just been brought out, candles flickering in the dimmed lights. Everyone leaned in as Dad smiled, knife in hand. Then, his laughter faded. His eyes moved across the room until they landed directly on me. "Megan," he said, his voice cutting through the chatter like glass. "The $200,000 I sent you, what did you do with it?" I froze. The fork slipped from my hand, clattering against the china. $200,000? I whispered, my throat tight. "What do you mean?" The entire room fell into silence. Guests exchanged puzzled glances. And that's when I saw it. My sister, Kristen. Her face went pale, her hands trembling, as if Dad's words had just ripped the ground out from under her. Now, before I tell you what happened next, you need to understand a little bit of backstory. For years, I'd been living in Chicago, working as a marketing coordinator for a mid-size fashion brand. It was fast-paced and exciting, but deep down, I'd always dreamed of opening my own boutique, a place where I could design, curate, and sell unique clothing lines. And just a few months before Dad's birthday, he gave me the chance to make that dream real. He wired me $800,000, no strings attached. He told me, "Megan, this is your shot. Build something of your own." That money wasn't just numbers in my account. It was a lifeline. It was belief. It was my father saying, "I trust you." So when Dad suddenly mentioned another $200,000, money I had never seen, I felt my world tilt. I looked at him, stunned. "Dad, I never got that money. I only received the $800,000 for my boutique." His eyes narrowed, his jaw clenched. "Megan, I sent you and Kristen each $200,000, separate from the boutique money. No conditions, no rules. It was a gift for your future." The words sank into me like ice. Another $200,000? For me? Money that never touched my account. And then it hit me. I turned to Kristen. She wouldn't look at me. Her hands were twisted together so tightly, her knuckles were white. Dad's voice sharpened. "Kristen," he said, "what did you do with yours?" She stammered, her voice trembling. I invested it, Dad. You know, smart choices, stocks, savings." But Aunt Ellen, standing near the dessert table, spoke up, her tone heavy. "Investments? Daniel, she's been on a spending spree. Designer bags, jewelry, trips to Europe. I saw her with my own eyes. Thousands gone in a day." The room shifted. Guests whispered. Kristen's face crumpled. Dad slammed his hand on the table, making glasses rattle. "You took Megan's money, didn't you?" My heart pounded. Rage boiled in my chest. For years, I'd watched Kristen flaunt her flashy lifestyle, brushing me off like I was nothing. But now I realized it wasn't just her money. She'd been using mine. The truth unraveled fast after that. Dad called the police that very night. Guests slipped out, not wanting to witness the disaster. Mom tried to defend Kristen, tears streaking her face. But her silence earlier, the way she avoided my eyes, it all made sense. She knew. She had helped Kristen steal from me. At the police station later that night, the truth was confirmed. Kristen had drained the joint account Dad had set up for both of us. She took my entire $200,000, blew it on bags, vacations, jewelry. Mom had helped cover it up, believing they could replace the money before Dad noticed. But the money was gone, almost every cent. The weeks after were a blur of courtrooms and paperwork. Kristen and Mom were charged with felony theft. They pled guilty, avoiding prison, but were ordered to pay restitution, $200,000 to me. The reality? Between selling off Kristen's car, her Rolex, her bags, and Mom's few valuables, they managed maybe $50,000. The rest? It would take years of court-ordered payments, years they'd spend working low-paying jobs under the weight of shame and debt. My dad's anger never softened. He rewrote his will, cutting both of them out completely. The house, the investments, everything. He left to me. On paper, I had gained everything, but in truth, I had lost more than I could ever measure. Months later, I stood in front of my boutique in downtown Salt Lake City. Carter's Charm. The sign glowed above the glass windows. Inside, racks of clothing lined the walls, each piece carefully chosen, many designed by me. Customers trickled in, bloggers wrote glowing reviews, and slowly, the dream I'd nurtured for years became real. But even as I smiled at the store's success, a part of me remained hollow. Kristen and Mom were out of my life. They lived in a small apartment on the outskirts of town, scraping by, their glamorous days gone. I didn't hate them. I didn't even pity them. I just didn't know them anymore. Looking back, I realized the story was never really about money. It was about truth, about what happens when greed poisons trust, about how silence and lies can destroy a family from the inside. The $200,000 could have built something beautiful. Instead, it burned every bridge I once had with my mother and sister. But here's what I learned. Sometimes losing people who betray you is the only way to find the life you were meant to live. And as painful as it was, I walked out stronger. My dad's question shattered my family, but it also gave me the chance to build the truth from the ashes. And that's worth more than any amount of money.